Have you ever entered a trade thinking you caught a strong trend only to see it reverse and hit your stop loss? It's frustrating, right? Or maybe you've entered a trade, everything looks good, but then the market goes sideways and your trade just stalls. What if there was a way to measure trend strength before jumping in? A way to filter out weak trends and avoid false breakouts? Well, there is. It's called the ADX indicator, one of the tools traders use to determine whether a trend is strong enough to trade. In this video, I'll break down what the ADX is, how it works, and most importantly, how you can use it to improve your trading strategy. Let's get to it. The ADX, for Average Directional Index, is a technical indicator developed by J. Wells Wilder in 1978. It's part of the directional movement system, which includes three components: the positive directional index, also known as the plus DI line, which measures how strong the buyers are. There's also the negative directional index, also known as the minus DI line, which measures how strong the sellers are. And thirdly, there is the ADX, which is a smoothed average that tells us how strong the trend is, no matter if it's up or down. But here is the key. The ADX itself doesn't tell you the trend direction, only how strong the trend is. So what does this mean in simple terms? If the ADX shows a value above 25, then the trend is considered strong, whether it's going up or down. If the ADX is below 20, the market tends to be weak or sideways, and trend following strategies might not work well. And this is why the ADX is a powerful confirmation tool for trend traders. It's a simple way to keep you out of choppy markets and helps you focus on strong, high probability trends only. Now, how does the ADX work? The ADX is often plotted as a single line on most trading platforms. If the ADX line is rising, the trend is gaining strength. But if the ADX line is falling, then the trend is losing strength, even if price is still moving. You see this example where the ADX line at the bottom of my screen is below 25. That's when at the same time the price is quite choppy and in a ranging market. But as soon as the ADX goes above 25, that's when a strong bullish trend begins and picks up momentum. Alright, now that you understand what the ADX is and how it works, let's talk about how you can actually use it in your trading. Strategy number one would be to use the ADX for trend confirmation. And indeed, one of the best uses of this indicator is to confirm if a trend is strong enough to trade or not. So you can look for the ADX going above 25 before entering a trend following trade, like here. That's when the downward trends really begin and picks up momentum and we have a strong directional move. It might not always be an accurate signal, otherwise trading would be too easy, of course. You can see here the ADX goes above 25, but there is no directional move that follows. But look what happens again after that. When the ADX goes above 25 again, this is when this time the real directional move begins and the trend picks up momentum. And then again after that, when the ADX goes above 25, this is when there is another strong upwards move. So you can combine the ADX going above 25 with other patterns or conditions such as moving average crossovers or price action. Strategy number two would be to use the ADX to avoid choppy markets. One of the biggest mistakes traders make is to trade in low volatility, range-bound markets. And the ADX helps you stay out of these kind of trades. Like when the ADX stays below 20 or 25, that's when you probably do not want to do trend following trades and wait for the ADX to cross above 25. As we said previously, when it does cross above 25, that's when the directional moves tend to happen, such as here again. That's when the strong directional move to the downsides truly begins. And at last, strategy number three is another very interesting way to use the ADX. It's to spot trend reversals. The ADX can warn you when a trend is losing strength. If the ADX drops while price keeps printing higher highs or lower lows, that means momentum is fading. Like in this case, for example, the price is trending down and printing lower lows, but the ADX over that same period of time is actually going down. Then when ADX goes back again above 25, that's when the trend has reversed and is now going up. Same thing again, when the uptrend is printing higher highs, we have some sort of divergence on the ADX, which over the same period is printing a lower high. So the ADX has not increased, but price did. And that actually marked the end of the bullish trend. So let's now see how we can backtest a strategy that uses the ADX in the opposite platform. So I'll just hop in the platform and create a trading strategy. And we will want to backtest it on, let's say, Bitcoin. Here, I'll just type in the rules of the strategy that I want to test. So let's say I want to test the following strategy. On the 2-hour chart, when we see a bullish crossover between the 10 and 20 EMA, we then wait for price to close at the highest price of the last 5 candles. And when this happens, if the ADX is above 24, we buy. Okay, so you got it. We want to see on a 2-hour chart a crossover between the 10 and 20 period EMA. When this happens, we then want to see price close at the highest price of the previous 5 candles. And when this happens, if the ADX is above 24, then we'll buy. This will be our entry rule, and for our exit rule, we will use a trailing stop loss at 3 ATR. And let's say if our stop loss is hit without being trailed, we want to risk 2.5% of our capital. So we'll backtest this over the last 7 years. I'll hit next, and here the strategy is ready for the backtest. So here we go. Okay, this should now take between 30 to 60 seconds. All right, the backtest is already over. Let's see what we got. Okay, here I have a recap of what Opsid's AI did and how it understood my strategy. So that's correct. Let's see the results. Okay, so as we can see, the strategy has been profitable over the backtested period, but it's not the strategy of the century. We've got some essential metrics right there. I can also see some more advanced metrics right here. And yeah, basically the capital goes up over time, but not in a very consistent manner. So the strategy might need some improvements or some other iterations. I could try and optimize it by clicking the optimize button, and here I could play around with some of the parameters. At least now you know how easy it can be to backtest a strategy that uses the ADX indicator on Opsid. And I'm sure you can come up with some very nice ideas as to how to use the indicator and backtest it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you did. As for me, I'll see you very soon. Ciao.